This is a prime example of why people do not support the dump. This is the primary reason that people find it so hard to sympathize with the average WNBA player. When you are starting from the bottom and you're trying to build something, it's important to understand your audience. When I quit my job 3 years ago to pursue YouTube full time, I had a small base audience of 1, maybe 2,000 people. Vast majority of those people, men, dudes. Took me a while to figure out the kind of content they wanted me to make. For the longest time, I felt like I was almost battling my audience. I wanted to stick to sports, but my most popular videos consisted of me blending sports and political topics, going after the deacons at Woke United Methodist. Eventually, I made the decision to give my audience exactly what they wanted. During that time, when I was trying to figure things out, there was not a single instance where I told you guys not to watch me, don't support me. I mean, that's counterintuitive, right? The only way I get paid is by you watching my videos. The longer I keep you watching, the longer I keep you entertained, the more money I make. It was a simple concept for me to understand, but for some reason, dump divers in the WNBA, they are having a very difficult time grasping this concept. They're having a difficult time understanding that they need you. More specifically, they need men to watch their product. Hell, for the past 30 years, the WNBA has needed subsidies from men in the NBA just to keep this product alive. With the league being this heavily reliant on men for survival, you would think they would appreciate the influx of male viewers delivered by Caitlin Clark. You would think they would appreciate men who are finally willing to give a chance to a product that almost resembles high school basketball. But instead of being appreciative, dump divers, they seem bitter, with Natasha Cloud being outright defiant. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Now, some of you are probably wondering, who in the hell is Tasha Cloud? Been a while since we have talked about the cloud of bitterness here on the channel. Some of my longtime viewers, you guys might remember Tosh Tosh. Like most players in the WNBA, Natasha Cloud has 2 jobs. During the summer, she drives a garbage truck for the WNBA, where for years, she collected the trash in lower-income neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. Over the offseason, Natasha Cloud, she was traded from D.C. to Phoenix, becoming a member of the Phoenix Masculines, the WNBA team sponsored by Just for Men. Now, when she is not playing pretend basketball in the WNBA, Tasha Cloud, she is an aspiring political activist with dreams of being a politician. Average salary for a political activist around $30,000 a year, meaning her side hustle generates more profit than her primary job in the WNBA. Since Caitlin Clark entered the league, there's been increased interest in the WNBA. There's been so much news about the WNBA lately, I could do a video every day on the league, but obviously I choose not to. I can only handle so much whining and complaining. After a while, I get tired of listening to grown women complain like teenage girls. But millions of people, they are finally realizing what this audience has known all along. Pretend basketball, it sucks. There's nothing entertaining about the WNBA. But for the first time ever, unknown WNBA players, they are starting to get noticed. For example, when a team like the Phoenix Masculines plays Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Felines, for most of these ladies, it's their first time playing in front of a national audience. Hell, for some of them, it's their first time playing in front of an audience. WNBA players, they are used to playing in empty arenas where you can hear team owners snoring from their suites. With increased attention comes increased criticism. And Natasha Cloud, she has had enough of toxically masculine men criticizing her league. Check it out for yourself. I'm so tired of these misogynists. I am tired of these toxically masculine men talking about our dump without knowing our history. Either invest in us or shut the fuck up. For starters, why does it seem like every complaint with WNBA players is always centered around money? Basically, Natasha Cloud, she is telling dudes, do not watch the WNBA. Either invest in us or go away. Now, I have a feeling most men are going to choose option B. They will go away and never come back. But just think of the audacity. Think of the sense of entitlement that causes Natasha Cloud to be this ignorant. For decades, you have been begging to be noticed. For decades, the WNBA has begged men to watch their substandard basketball. Now, make no mistake about it, women, they ain't watching. If women were watching the WNBA, guess what their husbands would be doing? Some of them would be watching just to keep the peace. Others, they would risk living in a tense house just to prevent from being exposed to the worst basketball imaginable. For decades, this league has begged for male attention. And when you finally get it, when you finally stumble across a star player who commands attention, Natasha Cloud tells the dudes watching her not to bother? What kind of business plan is that? No wonder the WNBA has never turned a profit. Not only does the product on the court suck, not only is it not enough to convince dudes to watch, veteran players in the league, they are literally telling those dudes not to watch the product. Truth is, WNBA players are never satisfied. They have filet mignon taste on a wiener budget. For years, they complained about their salaries, their compensation. They weren't satisfied making minimum wage. They felt like they deserved six-figure salaries. They felt they were entitled to that money, even though the WNBA has never generated 6 pennies in profit. Once they received higher salaries, money they hadn't earned, they complained that the salaries weren't high enough. They bitched about flying commercial. Flying Delta's too dangerous. We are forced to go through security and they might find our stash. Just look at what happened to Bob Griner. As professional trash collectors, we are entitled to bypass security with private airfare. Once again, WNBA players are handed a luxury they didn't have to earn. WNBA Commissioner Kat Engelbert, she approves chartered flights knowing that the league can't afford it. And what's the first thing WNBA players do? They complain. For years, they beg for attention, and what's the first thing they do once people start noticing and paying attention to the league? They complain. These aren't professional basketball players, obviously. They are professional complainers, professional whiners. You know, I had to spend a couple of hours driving this afternoon. While I was driving the car, I was listening to Dr. John Maloney. He's one of the Dave Ramsey people, but his show, it has people calling in with their personal problems, psychological problems, drinking problems instead of financial problems. Now, in this particular video, John Maloney, he was speaking to a guy who thought he had a drinking problem. While talking to the dude, Dr. Maloney said something that kind of applies to the WNBA. He said, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So let's say you have 5 colleagues at work. One is a complainer, one is a whiner, one is constantly negative, another is filled with bitterness, while your final colleague is a doomer. They are constantly gloomy. In theory, your character traits, your characteristics, they are the average of these 5 people you hang around the most at work. So what would that make you? It would make you a WNBA player. This should have been so easy for the WNBA. All you had to do was stay the hell out of the way. That's it. That's all you had to do. Let Caitlin Clark elevate your league. Let her build something that has never been built before in the WNBA, a fan base. While the rest of the players in the league, they just stay out of the way. Instead, it seems like WNBA players, they are doing everything they can to sabotage themselves. A couple of weeks ago, there was the young lady from the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces. I think her name was like AJ Wilson or something. She was complaining about Caitlin Clark getting a shoe deal from Nike. How come only white WNBA players get shoe deals? Why isn't this wealth spread to black women? AJ Wilson complained about Caitlin Clark, knowing the entire time that she was releasing her own shoe with Nike the following week. It felt like a publicity stunt to me, and I know some people believe there is no such thing as negative publicity. In most cases, that probably is true, but in order to survive negative publicity, you need a loyal audience. The NFL, they can survive negative press. All this stuff with Harrison Butker, it will have no impact on the NFL this season. Why? They have a loyal audience. WNBA, they don't have that same luxury. The WNBA, they don't have a loyal following. Hell, they barely have a following. This was the year that was supposed to change. This was the year they were supposed to build a loyal fan base. Season started 2 weeks ago. I cannot think of a single positive story about the WNBA in the last 2 weeks. Damn near every story involving the league has been negative. After a while, people will get tired of the constant complaining and negative publicity, and players like Natasha Cloud encouraging people not to watch, I can't imagine that helps. This league is going to self-destruct. And in a way, self-destruction, it's kind of like a tradition in the WNBA. This league has always been the author of its own demise. But give me your thoughts on this. Natasha Cloud basically tells men to not watch the WNBA. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'll take Tasha up on her offer. You don't want my support? You don't want me watching pretend basketball? Fine with me. I would rather watch snakes fornicate on the Discovery Channel anyway than be subjected to what the WNBA calls basketball. The entitlement in this league, it is absolutely unbelievable. Why would you tell me not to watch your product? Make it make sense. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.